All right. So this is a misconception video ish. This is about the forbidden fruit, and there are a lot of misconceptions. I don't know if I would call it exactly the same thing or really in importance, but I'm going to throw it into this category just for fun. But I think it's a cool, interesting story. So there's a lot of different ideas of what the forbidden fruit actually was, and different faiths tend to kind of relate the story differently. So traditionally in the West and in Christian places, the apple becomes the symbol of the forbidden fruit. And it is interesting fruit when you cut it, like widthwise, it makes that star. Interesting. And it is one possible contender. There's lots of others. So in Judaism, one of the most popular ones is the fig. So there's a story that says all the plants in Eden, in Garden of Eden, when they ate of the fruit, Adam and Chava ate of the fruit of the tree of knowledge of good and evil, all the other leaves of the trees died and fell. And only the leaves of the fruit of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil remained. And so when they have the fig leaf coverings, that was speculated that is because that's the only leaves left that were alive, so they used the fig leaves to cover themselves. So that's one argument. Another common one is grape. So sometimes squished grape, like grape juice or wine maybe, but grape was a big argument. Some of the rabbis said the pomegranate has sometimes been, I think Islam sometimes talks about it as the pomegranate, but in Judaism too, they're at the bottom of the high priest robes. Jewish lore says that the pomegranate has an average of 613 seeds. So we talked about there's 248 positive mitzvot, which are like the good deeds, meaning things you should do, and 365 negative or prohibitive mitzvot, things you should avoid doing. And that makes 613. So there's 613 laws in the Torah. And if you were to take 1 million pomegranates, 10 million pomegranates, and average the amount of seeds, they would have 613 seeds. So some argue that was the fruit of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. We mentioned the apple. Some say it was a pear or a quince. There's a rabbi that says it was wheat, potentially wheat, that like a child doesn't speak or doesn't really become adult till it can start eating wheat. And so some say wheat. There is Muslims, and in the Middle East, Egypt, different places, and some Jewish scholars say it was the banana, which a lot of people seem to think is pretty funny. Arguably could have been the banana. I think the Book of Enoch says it's a tamarind, and carob is one that comes up sometime, like a pod fruit. They're both pod fruits. Tamarind. Hispanic culture makes tamarindo, which is delicious. I've never had tamarindo. And so it's a tamarind, and also the carob, which also is very Kabbalistic. Shimon Bar Yochai, the author of the Zohar, lived up carob while he was writing it, and it's a very Kabbalistic plant. It's the hippie chocolate plant, basically. It's a pod, and the hippies make like a type of chocolate out of it back in the day, in the 60s, 70s. Still find it in the 80s. I remember eating it as a kid a little bit. And it's not very good, though, honestly. And then some argue mushrooms. So they're like psychedelic mushrooms, either magic mushrooms or the Amanita muscaria is a potential forbidden fruit. And then there's also just the unknown. Some, say it's just its own thing. Nobody really knows what it is. But this is kind of a misconception, more just different ideas. I mean, nobody really knows, right? So I thought I would throw it under misconceptions, but it's really just a fun one. And I find it really interesting. There's so many different things it could potentially be. And so who knows in the end. But I wish the blessing of being able to sort through all these things in life and knowing that regardless of what the final answer is, because you're gonna sometimes you're going to go through life and you're going to hear a lot of different answers for a lot of different things. And maybe all of them make sense. Maybe none of them make sense. And so sometimes we kind of go forth with a type of uncertainty in life. And we just have to follow our hearts and do the best we can, even though sometimes there's no concrete, hard answer to our questions and to the things we want to know. And we have to just be strong enough to accept that and keep going. So I wish everyone that strength, that blessing of strength, that if you're seeking to know an answer and you get a lot of different ones and there's no really definitive answer in it, you still find the strength to carry on and to take the choice that best suits you for the purposes you need to go forward with, because no one can really tell you you're right or you're wrong. Just like with the forbidden fruit, nobody knows for sure what it was. Nobody can say you're right or wrong for believing it's this or that or whatever. They're all good possibilities, and there's good arguments for all of them. So you have to be able to have that strength to choose the one that you like the most and just keep on moving, or acknowledge them all and just keep on moving, you know? And so I wish that blessing for all of us and for all of you, and let's do this, people. Save the humans.
Trying to be a better man. Oh yeah. Trying to do the best I can. Oh yeah. And I'm gonna do right thing. Do right thing. No matter what they want to say. And I'm gonna still fight for you. Still fight for you.